Hello and welcome to another episode of How to Be a Movie Snob. We are your wannabe snobberillos, snobberuskis.
I take that one.
Okay, snobberuski it is. From the Great White North, kind of.
Almost.
The Great Snobberuski. What brewski are you drinking there, Snobberuski, Mr. Patrick?
I have an Elysian Contact Hazy IPA today.
We're so close.
Similar.
So close today. Mariah, from the great city of Dallas. Very famous city. A lot of cheerleaders in your city, I think. A lot of cowboys in your city. We're still in Oregon.
Wrong.
I'm not wrong.
You're
It's still
not
true. It's still true. It happens.
Just
to be
not what
Oregon.
you think.
It never is.
Little D.
Never.
Eric calls it.
The little D. Oh, what's up, little D? What do we got going on for you today? What's the
Beverage
brew?
of choice?
Yeah, the brew from.
I got a Breakside again.
Oh,
Wanderlust.
Same old. That's all right.
At the Wolf.
I've got my two beers are going to be the Elysian Dawn Again, which is that one, which is a little hazy IPA, and I got the classic OG Lagunitas IPA, just kind of your standard.
The one
There you go.
The one you get at Red Robin.
Yeah, is it? Oh, how funny! I didn't know that.
Well, I do.
I mean, I probably get whatever they're. Actually, I probably do get that because there's not that many options. Red Robin, your fries are
I
delicious,
get a
but let's be real.
trickster at our local Red Robin.
Yeah, I bet it's different in where you are.
We
That's
don't
true.
have that.
Guys, we are going through our top 10 lists, kind of. We are introducing kind of our lesser-known movies. I don't even say lesser-known, but just we're kind of going through our top 10 list to make sure they really are our top 10 list. Last week, we had Patrick's, I believe, and we went down the Wes Anderson trail with Mr. Royal Tenenbaum, which was a delight and a fun one to go down.
Good time.
We were all unapologetically, it almost made all of our top 10 lists, and we're not even ashamed of it. Maybe we should be. I don't know, but we're not. The week before that,
No shame.
we had Mariah's movie. It feels like it's been a minute, but that was Pan's Labyrinth, which is just as creepy as I thought it was going to be, and somehow bloodier. That's the other thing too. But again, beautiful because he just does good work.
He's great.
Denis. Anyways, no, not the Denis. Guillermo, thank you. Guillermo del Toro. This week is my week, guys, and we're getting. I am pulling the snobby card here. I got an idea.
Doozy.
A doozy.
Doozy of a snobby movie.
I'm gonna since it's my movie, I'm gonna change the order a little bit. Let's do our hot take before we introduce it, and maybe our hot take can kind of
people can
give
guess.
them an idea. Okay.
Not that you're not already gonna know. But
No, but you never
Play
you might
along.
know.
Okay,
Would
I'll
you?
have to edit.
Just-
I'll have to edit. a little bit.
I got mine edited in my head, so I think I can
Pretend
do
with
that.
us.
So I'll go with mine, and then you guys can kind of re-edit yours, and we'll go from there. Okay.
Okay.
So my hot take is, eat your heart out, Wong Kar-wai. That's super inside. That's super inside, but seriously,
The last episode.
it's how every ridiculousness that Wong Kar-wai does when he's making films, this director does the same crazy stuff when he's filming, and he just let's just film it again. You know what? We got a bunch of army people coming, but we're gonna stop and video this butterfly here. No, you know what? We're just going to stop and we're gonna get some bugs. We're gonna film that. Okay, back to the story, and I'm gonna use that loosely. Let's go back to So he is the American Wong Kar-wai. That's my hot take. Mr. TM.
Okay.
We'll get to that in a second. So there you go. That's my first hot take.
I can piggyback that. I'd say maybe there was too much story in this nature documentary.
Yes.
Ooh, that was good. That was good.
Yeah. It's very similar.
But yet still somehow less stories than most
Yeah.
Disney
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Actually,
documentaries.
there's actually quite a structure to a lot of documentaries. But
That was good, Pat.
my other hot take is that this director's, which I shouldn't say this totally because I haven't seen all of his filmography, but this director's 2001.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh,
And
for sure.
we can dig into that.
For sure. And I'm glad you said that because, yeah, I'll go in. It's much like the last movie I picked. I feel like it's the most director. It's where he kind of hits his stride, much like.
He hits that snob button.
Yeah,
in this,
exactly right.
for sure.
And he may go down. Yeah, we'll get to that. Okay, Mariah, get yours before we introduce this lovely.
Well, mine is pretty similar to Pat. Not as
documentary.
succinct, but so you take 3 National Geographic specials and 25 to 50% of an actual movie,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you put it in a blender,
Yeah, yeah.
and that's what you get here.
Beautiful blender, but just beautiful people, beautiful scenes.
Yeah.
I mean, you just can't go wrong.
Yeah, are the people as pretty as the scenery? I don't know.
That's 50-50 on this one. I don't know, the little jaw thing. We'll talk about that. Guys, we are going to one of the snobbiest of the snobby American directors, Mr. Terrence Malick. If you are not familiar with his work, we're not surprised. I'm just going to be real right now. Maybe you've heard of A Thin Red Line. Maybe you've even heard of Badlands. I mean, if you have, that's super impressive. And maybe you've even heard of a Richard Gere movie. I was literally watching this morning. They're in fields. They're immigrants. It's really pretty. That'll come back to me.
Days of Heaven.
Days of Heaven. Thank you. Maybe you've heard of Days of Heaven because these are kind of like his big ones. And maybe you've heard of this movie because this is kind of where he's ramping up to being like everyone wants to be in a movie with this director. Mr. Malick has. In similar regard, as we talked about 2001, he does not do a movie every year. At least he didn't back then. He did one of the gaps was 12 years or 20 years. It was something crazy like 78 to like 98.
To 98.
Yeah, so it was a 20-year gap between movies. So it was kind of like, oh, if you could get in a Terrence Malick movie, that'd be great. Just because there's just not that many to get into. So.
He's had a good run since 2011. Since this one, basically, he's like, all right, I should make a lot of stuff.
Yes,
Yeah.
and we'll get into that.
Got on
People
a run.
liked this. So.
Yes. So this is also starring one of the biggest movie stars on the planet, Mr. Brad Pitt. This is kind of the first movie we meet Jessica Chastain in. She's, of course, big now, but she wasn't when this came out because this came out the same year The Help came out when she was kind of in that.
Big year for her.
Big year for her. Apparently, Sean Penn's in this movie. If you blink, you miss him, but we'll get to that too.
Rounds off the trio of Oscar winners.
Oscar winner.
Whispers some lines every now and again.
Goodness. Guys, this movie is The Tree of Life by Terrence Malick, and it is the most Terrence Malick-y Terrence Malick movie, in my humble opinion. That was my other hot take.
So, yeah, I guess before we get into the plot,
Yes.
I'd seen The Thin Red Line, and I'm pretty sure I saw The New World, although that one's more vague in my brain.
Oh, for sure.
So, but that's it. That's it of his work that I'd seen until this.
Yeah.
Same. But in the last 2
I
weeks,
felt wholly unprepared
so
for what this movie was.
that's perfect.
Based off,
Yeah.
That's perfect.
based off
Yeah.
everything leading into watching it.
That makes me so happy.
The trailers, because this was super well, promoted when it came out.
Yeah.
And, I didn't, but otherwise I didn't really hear much other than like, oh yeah, I kind of know who that is. And giant stars in it.
Yeah. You got Brad Pitt.
And then and in the trailer, you can kind of imply a more traditional story from the trailer.
Some would say there was more
And
obvious
so-
story in the trailer than there was in the movie.
This to me, well, I'm curious if you guys had seen others before this, but I was unprepared for what this movie
Nice.
was.
I'm so happy.
Yeah. I went into it deliberately not doing much.
That's great.
And even the
that's so great.
Wikipedia description is just very brief.
And it does a plot. It doesn't say like
Kind of a lie.
this isn't a
Yeah.
this isn't an art project. This is they give you the plot like it's a normal movie.
Yeah. 50s family
Dinosaur.
has some feelings, I think, something.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so
Which
good.
is
Like
maybe
ups
what
and
the
downs.
script Maybe what the script was, but not what the movie was edited to be.
That's what Sean Penn thought he was going to be in too. Let's be real.
Yes.
That's what
He's still
he's
confused.
still mad about that one. Guys, my other hot take was this is what every wedding and church videographer aspires to be. Every single like promo video to get like that ethereal like
catch that butterfly.
Oh, and the voiceovers and the butterfly and the time lapses with the drone. And just trying to and super whispery deep thoughts that change your life. Oh, this is this
Just
to
slight
me.
angle changes on the same moment
Oh
over
my
and
gosh.
over again.
I promise you, this is half of the church videos that you see, that the high production church videos are trying to be Terrence Malick. Like they're just dreaming.
And it's
to
a great
be
visual bar to try and pursue.
Yeah,
it's a gorgeous movie.
Gorgeous movie. No one's going to argue that. No. Yeah.
No matter what else I say in the rest of this,
Yeah,
You know,
nobody's
this movie
doubts the
is
beauty.
visually fantastic.
You know,
Yeah.
I'm realizing this about myself. I am pretty shallow because the two movies that are on my top 10 are real pretty. But
Heavy on the
some
looks.
people say they lack in the old, I don't know, content or
Depth.
story. I mean, it's either super deep or it's not. Like you gotta go one way or the other. It's either so deep or you're like, okay, we get it. It's one versus the other. Okay, let's go here. Let's give a plot if that's possible. So the Wikipedia plot is basically mid-50s family trying to figure out, and it's a story of from the son's point of view, and we'll say that very loosely.
Yeah.
The son's point of view, who's grown up and is kind of reflecting back on his life and how hard his dad was and how loving his mom was, and then trying to reconcile that with who he is now. That is a very quick sweeping.
What an interesting movie. And you're saying this is starring Brad Pitt, Jessica Chastain, and Sean Penn?
Yeah.
Holy cow.
I can't wait to watch this.
Wait
I can't wait to bring the whole
to
family.
see all that.
I bet my
I-
wife would love this movie.
I sure loved
Yeah.
the clips when I watched the Oscars that year and was like, wow, that's really pretty. And then I never followed through with actually watching it.
You probably like, oh, good, that one won. I bet
Yeah.
that was really cool.
Those people are attractive.
I'm so glad you guys didn't know this because my first experience was in 2011. I was in Hong Kong, I believe, and I was with a videographer, a cinematographer, and he was helping out videoing our. We were teachers, and he was like helping out and doing some video stuff for us. And so he's like, "Oh yeah, we gotta go see Tree of Life," and we're like, "Okay, I've known you like three minutes.
Oh,
Let's
an
go."
English-speaking movie?
English-speaking movie. And Hong Kong has all three. Hong Kong is the one place where I've gone and there's been 3 sets of subtitles. It's crazy. Like I remember we watched a Mandarin Chinese movie, and so you had the English subtitles, you had the Cantonese, which is the traditional Chinese subtitles, and the Chinese for those, because the movie then switched back and forth between different dialects in Chinese. So you had 3 sets.
Yikes.
The movie was dope, but that's the first time
Was
I've ever
half
seen that.
of the movie
was
just subtitles?
Like, did you see that? What? Behind which version of the
It was also
language?
during that wuxia era, which was a very fun. I was like, it was a good movie. Anyways, very fun stuff. So I went into this not knowing what I was getting into,
Same.
and I was like, and me and all these like 20-somethings are like, oh, what's going on? And then the guy's like, this is the best ever. This is so good.
And had you seen 2001 before that?
No, I didn't see 2001 until like a month ago. Remember?
So you didn't have the opportunity
No.
to watch it and go, this is 2001 again.
Well,
Like-
I've watched. I take that back. I have started 2001 and got real bored and fell asleep, and that is what happened. So like that was yeah. And so when I watched that, I was like, "What is going on?" But the thing that is different than 2001, this has emotions.
Yeah. Well, and they give
I'll give you that.
They give you little blips of the actual plot the people,
Oh.
you know. So you still are like, you're hanging on because you're like, okay, they're gonna stop the dinosaurs any minute and get back to the story. I know they are.
Spoiler alert, there
Whereas
is
2001 is very lengthy before you get to the actual.
Yeah, the monkeys are
happening.
there for a long time for
Yeah.
sure. No, and that is when you start this movie, you're like, oh, this is going to be an emotional roller coaster, and you're already like Jessica Chastain, that first like gulp cry, like you're just in. And you're like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? Wait a minute, is this the dawn of Earth? Hold on, where do we... Left turn. The water wasn't so bad, like the flowing water. I'm like, okay, I'm with this on water. But then we start to getting...
yeah.
And we got
The
to talk
beautiful
about...
greenery, the trees, all of that.
All of it,
You're
so
like,
good.
yeah, I got this. Yeah.
We were in that for 15 minutes. The first half hour of the movie, it's 15 minutes of just nature, and then dinosaurs show up, and you're like, oh, this isn't even modern nature. And then, speaking of emotions, the saddest thing in the movie to me was the one dinosaur stepping on the other dinosaur's head
Oh, yeah.
for that brief moment before he didn't kill him.
Yeah. And
He
did-
let him go.
He let
but
him go.
I was like, oh no, the poor thing,
No, it
and
was-
like nature's cruel.
It was
Yeah.
done well enough that you were heartbroken for that dinosaur.
Can
Yeah.
did anybody else think Ducky from...
Nice.
Yes,
No, I
100%.
did not. But that is
Yeah.
great.
100%.
I-
Which added to the emotion.
Yeah, I think so too.
You know.
I think if they hadn't done like the duck build, I don't think I would have been
Oh,
quite
that's
as
good.
sad.
No.
but
I'm just
I was
glad
like,
it wasn't.
I
oh no,
thought-
Ducky.
I am glad it wasn't a velociraptor that stepped on him. That would've
more
been too...
more than the child drowning in the movie,
Yeah.
or the
Oh,
death
gosh.
we kind of get. The dinosaur is the most emotionally compelling part for me,
Oh, that's
Yeah.
sick. and
which is
wrong. But
crazy.
you know what?
But that was
That was the intention.
I needed that dinosaur moment because I was like, where are we going?
Yeah.
If I
Terry?
see any
Like,
more
Yeah.
weird lava explosion-y things, I don't know.
So we got to talk about the theme, and the theme of this movie is not subtle. As artsy as this movie is, as like non-linear and as it doesn't lay it out for you in any way, shape, or form. Grace versus nature, and it starts with that first scene of the dinosaur where the nature is the predator should kill, and instead shows grace. And so some people say that's the dawn of grace in the world,
Yes.
right? So
Well,
that's
and then
the
as confusing as the
non-subtle.
plot is, she does spell it out for you
Oh yeah, early,
right there.
right away.
But even with that, you're still like, wait, what's
Yeah.
going on?
And it's not like we watch this. The beginning and the end are like mirror images.
Mm-hmm.
Like they start and end the exact same way, except for like, the walking and the music's a little different in the end. But it's not.
sunflowers. Did we start and end with sunflowers?
No, we
Or we
ended
just
with
end
a
with
bridge.
sunflowers?
End with sunflowers.
We ended with a bridge, and then we
You
ended
would
with
start and
Oh.
end with the light.
and then the lights. Yeah, but
Oh,
you
yeah,
end
yeah.
with the same things said on both sides with the whispering.
Right.
So.
the birth of empathy or
Yeah.
birth of...
So
Yeah.
in this movie, the other hot take, I wasn't sure if I believed or not, but this was Brad Pitt's best acted movie. I was real close to putting that in there because I was like, I was thinking through all of his movies, and I know your favorite's Meet Joe Black, Pat.
Yeah.
I know that's your favorite.
Yeah.
Well, when he does the Jamaican voice,
Everything gonna be all right.
I mean, that's magic.
It's great. So this movie,
Gonna go home and watch that.
I know that's gonna be great. Our Brad Pitt list. We should have our top 10 Brad Pitt movies.
I do
He
like
does a
that
good
movie.
I
job
do too.
getting hit by that car, though.
Oh, that was the funniest scene.
The
I
double hit by a
remember-
car is so over the top. You're like, oh,
Because this is
He's
after
very dead
like
now.
Brad
they're like, we
Pitt.
need people to know he is super dead. There's no way. I bet they did a
Oh,
version
he's
where it's like he
injured
got
and
hit by
she's gonna
a
be
car,
his
and they're like,
doctor. No.
oh, well, no, he probably could have lived through that. And they're like, no, have him hit another car.
I watched that in theaters, and I literally burst out laughing at that scene.
I think
It's so
everybody did.
crazy.
It was like,
Because it feels like they just threw a dummy, into the street.
I'm like, we got Anthony Hopkins like just fresh off an Oscar win. We got Brad Pitt fresh off of like Interview with the Vampire. Yeah. So I'm like, oh, serious. Blah!
boing, boing, boing.
I'm like, you got to be kidding me right now. Oh, yeah. So yeah, and then this. Anyway, so the emotion.
Not this
Brad
movie.
Pitt's best acting.
Brad Pitt. So this is my favorite part about this is I did watch about 4 or 5 Terrence Malick movies ish this last couple weeks. Not watching them all the way through because there's this is where he falls off the cliff. This is like the pinnacle, and it just goes downhill from here. Except for his most recent movie, he finally gets back to like some sort of narrative, because my earlier statement, he shoots like Wong Kar-wai. He will just show up. He will call,
and he plots like Stanley Kubrick.
Yeah. He'll just show up with super famous actors and actresses because everyone wants to work with him, and they just shoot all day, and then no one knows what he's going to use. No one knows what he's going to use. My favorite story is, who's the actor with New Boot Goofin? In Reno 911.
Thomas Lennon?
Yes. So he was on one movie one time. He's like, all I know, I showed up in the morning, we shot for 11 hours.
Yeah.
And then I don't think you even see his face, but you hear his vocals in the background talking about like what the biz is like. And he's like, and that's what we did. That was my one experience with Terrence Malick. So I can't even imagine what it would be like in these modern ones.
They said the cutting room floor had a full movie of just Sean Penn's story.
Oh gosh, I would love to see that movie.
There's a whole nother movie. Yeah.
And this is
I
the
would
part.
have liked to have seen this whole movie.
This is the part that like kills me. I put this in the top 10 because this is one of those movies that like changed the way I look at like making film as an art. Like this is apparently a way you can do it. Oh, and this movie prepared me for our Soviet Union director.
Oh, Mirror. Or Ingmar Bergman, or
but
no,
not Ingmar. That's Ingmar's.
Yeah.
No,
that's the other one though.
Tchaikovsky.
Sort of like.
Yeah. So Mirror to me felt like, oh, I bet. But the irony is like they're happening at the same time. Mirror was more experimental than Terrence Malick was at that time, because he'd still done Days of Heaven at that point, and he's done Badlands, but he was not to this point. So I do wonder if Mirror and some other of those movies did influence him to say, oh, I can go full off the edge here. So anyways, so that's why I picked this movie for my top 10, because it changed the way I looked at movies in a way that other movie.
It's a cinematographer's dream.
Yeah, or a nightmare, depending on how you look at it. Oh, let's talk about the cinematographer. Mariah, who is the cinematographer? And let's go through his ridiculous list of what he's done.
Emmanuel Lubezki.
I
feel like I'm not saying it correctly.
Probably not.
Sorry.
Let's go through his works.
Okay.
In order. Do you want to do
I'll
it?
skip over some.
Oh yeah, of course. But just
the better known.
Okay. Are we going old and young, or what are we doing here?
Yeah, I'm starting 92.
92.
Like Water for Chocolate.
Okay.
Reality Bites.
Okay. Okay.
A Walk in the Clouds.
Oh, here we go.
The Birdcage. Great Expectations.
Okay, so you're like...
Meet Joe Black.
Stop it.
It's a beautiful movie.
I wonder if it's his idea to how to shoot that wide angle like that.
Yeah,
to get the
right after that, he
flow.
did Sleepy Hollow.
Get out of here. Burton?
With Burton, yeah. Ali. Y tu Mama Tambien.
Wow.
Then The Cat in the Hat.
Unfortunate. That's unfortunate.
Yeah. Lemony Snicket's A series of unfortunate events.
So he doesn't get snobby till later.
Children of Men.
Well,
here we go.
Yeah.
Burn After Reading.
Here we go.
Tree of Life.
Here we go.
Gravity. Birdman.
Oh, jeez.
The Revenant.
Okay.
Amsterdam.
Oh, okay. Well, it could have been better, but yeah, it's not his fault.
Yeah.
So he worked with the Coen brothers.
He did Terrence
Inarritu,
Malick again in 2017.
Malick. Which movie?
Song to Song.
It was terrible.
I skipped it because I was like, I don't know what that is.
Oh my gosh,
Oh.
that almost
Or
makes me
David O.
more
Russell.
angry, because in
He
Song
worked
to
with a
Song,
lot of
he's
folk.
like a basically white. Anyways, yeah, go ahead, Pat. Sorry.
No, I was just saying, like he's worked with a lot of people. Very
Tons of different directors.
good directors, some probably less than good directors, but yeah.
Yeah.
He gets the job done, man. People trust him.
Yeah.
It seems like that 2011 is when he hit his stride, hitting all those Oscar. That was like the Oscar stuff when he went from Tree of Life to Revenant to
I want to see an
Birdman.
Well, I don't know.
with
Children
him.
of Men.
Yeah.
That's true. Children was
That
really
was
good.
good. I want to see an interview with him talking about the different directors, like talk about
Jerk.
Tim Burton versus Terrence
Terrence
Malick.
Malick. Oh, that'd be
Like,
hilarious.
I want to know the difference.
I can't imagine having to shoot Terrence Malick. That would just be
Compare and
exhausting.
contrast.
But the good thing is, you don't have to edit it. You just have to shoot it.
Oh yeah, there's a
Just
list
shoot
of
pretty
things
things.
he wants you to do with that.
Oh, for sure.
You use this
Frame it up.
and do that.
Run at the actors a bunch. Just run at them over and over
Wide angle
and frame it.
and
Yeah.
do it.
Frame
and-
it upward.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And
Using this
People
exposure.
creating sunlight for 20 minutes.
by the way, every time they shot, I kept thinking about every single day when I'm shooting weddings, because all they're doing is getting as close as they can to windows. Every other shot, they're outside or they're close to windows.
Because they didn't use any other light.
Because
Like,
they
how
didn't. They
crazy.
only use
3
natural
houses.
light.
3
They
houses.
only use natural light, and that's so great. Of course, that one house, I'm like, it's all windows. That makes sense. Like
That
the old
tracks.
silent movies from 1900s, where they had to have just windows everywhere because they need all the light they could get. But yeah, and
the
that
house when they're older that we see at the beginning, which
Mm-hmm.
looks like a great house.
for sure, cool.
How did they
house.
get that house? Where did this?
Yeah,
the patents?
You know.
Maybe his patents went through.
I was confused.
Yeah,
at-
I was like, did they finally all pay off? Did older Jack pay for it? Sorry, Mariah.
Yeah, no, I was confused because the plot information that you get from Wikipedia and IMDb is that he's a successful engineer
Yeah.
and he didn't do well with the patents, but everything seemed great until his factory shut down. But you hear him saying, these guys have all this money and they own half the town, and he's always talking about other people, but their house does seem pretty decent.
Yeah, I assume he's still getting
Yeah.
jobs. Then they
But
don't,
yeah.
they don't
But
explore that. It's
the
like
plot
why
made
The
you
3
feel-
boys
Yeah,
are in
the-
the same room. And
Yeah, the plot made you feel like they were really not doing that well in watching it.
Yeah. So do we? The part that made this a little bit more engaging, instead of just being like an artsy fartsy piece, which it totally is, was just the powerful performances, but not wrapping anything up necessarily. And I do have to say, at first I was like, oh, so cool, like walking in the wilderness, but after watching like 4 or 5 Terrence Malick films, I'm a little over it. I'm a little over it. But it's done the best in Tree of Life, for sure. Done the best Tree of Life. And so it's also harder because it seems as Malick progresses on, his lenses get wider and wider to song and the other one that was like that. It basically looks like he's filming with a GoPro. It looks like he's just got this fisheye lens on, and he's right next to this actor and actresses, and they're just. I'm like, no wonder he has got to pick all these skinny people, because with a GoPro on you, you're gonna look all stinking weird. So yeah, it's crazy, and Tree of Life is less annoying than all the more modern ones. But then you go back to like Badlands and Days of Heaven. You're like, oh, you still shoot on like a 50 millimeter and a 35 millimeter. This is still like a normal, gorgeous shot. Because I love the wide shots, but I don't like it when it gets in the. Usually, if you get beyond a 24
fisheyes or
millimeter,
something.
it starts to look like it's forming more like that GoPro fisheye
Well, yeah,
look.
the dinner table episode, that felt like you're missing parts of this, or like I just felt
You're claustrophobic,
yeah,
which is the
you're
point
so-
of it,
yeah,
I'm sure.
you're so uncomfortable,
Yeah.
and you're missing things, but you know what's happening.
For sure. That was great about that scene, because it was a good, cutting back and forth. But yeah, the way he shot it was very, very impressive. going from the other movies he shot to this, you get only natural lights, and they used a bunch of cameras. They used a bunch of different film stocks. They used a Red in 2011, which was a pretty modern digital camera. So they had some shots that were shot in digital. So they did use a wide variety of actual cameras and film stocks, but yeah, very, but still good though. And my always question is like, who shot all the other stuff? And they shot like
the nature stuff.
The nature stuff.
Like who went out and swam in the ocean depths and
consulted NASA.
Did you well, you know who they used for the practical stuff that was to represent Pat?
Guy who did 2001.
Guy who did 2001. I thought that was great.
Douglas Trumbull.
Nice, good job.
Well, which is also, I mean, that's what Nolan did for Oppenheimer. Very similar techniques, right? It's all sort of practical in camera, using inks and paints and weird tricks to pull off the universe, and it is all gorgeous. Like I think that's
it looks
the
so
thing.
Much better than
I wish they went that way with 2001 with the Stargate scene. That kind of felt like it went too much like technology version of visuals.
I wonder if he didn't come out of it after 29 years just to be like, I can do it better this time, and then that's why he came.
Oh, for sure.
Basically out of retirement to do it.
Terrence Malick comes calling. People show up, man.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a little surprised that Daniel Day-Lewis and Terrence Malick didn't get together. The snobbiest actor and one of the snob. Probably because
I feel like
it'd
be like you'd cut out everything I'm doing.
Yeah, it'd probably
you leave too much out there.
Daniel Day-Lewis, it'd literally kill him. You're like, no, everything I do is gold. You don't cut. I mean, Daniel Day-Lewis.
It's interesting, like you said, Seth. There's so much emotion. The movie like lives in emotion in a way that like subverts plot. Like you just can't, like how he cuts adds this like ethereal dreamlike thing, which I think that kind of gets into mirror territory where it's just like I can't even hang on to an image very long because you've cut to a slightly different version of the image, and then you kind of make me go, is this a memory? Is this a dream? Like I'm not able to witness linear storytelling in a typical way in this movie.
And I think that's exactly what he wanted.
It seems like that.
I want people to feel this movie, not understand necessarily what's happening.
It does seem like that, because it does feel. I do think I also felt like it must be the memory because the way he remembers his mom never finishes the situation. It's like he remembers the high points of these, which is how you kind of remember your youth anyways, right? So I agree. I felt like he was doing this memory thing with very vivid parts where he's remembering the emotion but not necessarily fleshing out all the details.
Yeah, the reality or how that came to be or what happened after. Yeah. Did it bother anyone else to not know how his brother died?
Yeah. I mean, I found out, I guess, the theory how he died.
In the extended description?
I don't know if it was in the script or something, or it was like this. You'd find out through the telegram or whatever because.
Right?
Well, he was 19.
Yeah, it was a car accident.
Yeah. But yeah, it really bothered me in the movie and watching it. It was like, was he in the army or something? And then you're like, well, no, that brother wouldn't have been in the army.
I was like,
it would have been
Telegraph?
Jack would have maybe been in the army or something. But yeah, you're just
Steve.
like, what? What happened?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that was the other thing, if I get into my criticism of this movie.
All right, here we go.
It's such a powerful opener, the death of a child. And then we're kind of left, and it implies we're going to get back to that moment, right? Like you start with that, this emotionally charged moment, and then the movie builds to add context to it. And it kind of doesn't, because I think the adult Jack part is in theory where we'd be seeing him struggling, with the loss of his brother, but we don't really. There's like the one line where he's like, "Yeah, I think about him every day." You know, he's apologizing to his dad about something.
Because he's
and
sorry
you're just
I
like,
said
but
that. Yeah,
Right, which is pretty funny.
yeah, but you're like, but this is like kind of nothing to do
yeah.
with what's his name? RL.
Yeah.
And so
Also, what is RL?
it's just
Did they ever say that? No.
Robert Lewis. I don't know.
Jack, RL, and Stevie.
Yeah. So you're kind of left with this weird missing piece. Again, to narrative that's not necessarily meant to be given to us, obviously, but through the edit. Although it was filmed. All this stuff was filmed. I think that's
there's
the
so
interesting
much more
part.
to Jack. Like, why is Jack alone in his thing? It's not because he's always been alone. Turns out he's divorced and has a teenage kid, and you don't know that in watching the actual.
He's had affairs,
cut
or
of the movie.
you know.
Yeah. There's so much that
So
I'm
we
like,
get this.
where's the rest of the story?
Well, and then you kind of just you go so quickly or so briefly to adult Jack, kind of being like, the modern world, you know.
Yeah.
Like I'm, distraught by the life I have.
Yeah.
And then he's in the weird dream world, and you're like, huh? What's happening? Is this? Did you die? Is this the end of your life?
Yeah, for
and
a
now
successful architect, you sure go off on tangents.
It's
Fantasy
Yeah.
land.
It felt a lot like in 8.5, where you're like, is this like after he's dead?
Yeah.
Is this everything like I'm reliving your life right before you go to heaven, sort of the situation?
Yeah. Are we in a fantasy, or are we
Is this just fantasy?
just remembering
and I
something
think
weird?
What's interesting is the Wong Kar-wai of the edit. I think maybe more than the filming, although you're probably right, Seth, it, worked similarly. But again, I think they filmed a lot of what was in the script. Mm-hmm. But in the edit, apparently he had different editors go like, what if I cut out all the dialogue? What if this character is no longer in this scene?
Yeah.
And they just be like, yeah, that's cool.
Well,
And you're like, what?
yeah, and from all the research I did, everybody thought the script was so great. This is why they did it.
Everyone loved the script,
And they're like, wait, that's not what we did.
No.
That's not what ended up getting shown to people.
I would love to have seen
So now
the
I don't know how to stand by that.
Yeah. I would love to have
So weird.
seen Brad Pitt, Jessica Chastain, Sean Penn watching this movie like, what?
Yeah, I want to see the Jack movie, and I want to see
Yeah.
I think Sean Penn was done dirty.
Yeah.
I think Brad Pitt
sure.
and Jessica Chastain, they show up well. They're acting. They've got emotional range. Sean Penn just looks like he's
Lost.
drugged out,
Yeah.
basically,
Exactly right.
in his bits. And then you're like, and then he sees his whole family in weird heaven beach.
So Terrence does that a lot. He's cut out whole actors from movies who showed up thinking they were the star, and then they're not even in the movie. What's the one example? The guy from the piano? No, Adrian Brody. He thought he was in. He was supposed to be the star in one, and he's not even in it. And so no. Terrence Malick doing the actors dirty is not unusual.
No.
Fiona Shaw, who's like the grandmother,
Yes, I love her.
has 2 lines. Yeah, she's so good.
Yeah.
And I was like, you're in this movie for this? And then, Sean Penn is kind of worse. I think it's so compelling visually, but it showed us a glimpse of this movie that also seems really compelling as a family drama that we don't get, really.
Yeah.
Right, we get memories of a childhood with
need the feelings.
layers of dysfunction.
You don't need the facts. You just need the feelings.
No, I need.
You don't need to know the
2001 is on my list for a reason.
Oh, it's like the opposite.
I can deal with some non sequiturs and some far out visuals.
It's pretty great because that one, every human has no emotion in that movie, on purpose.
Yeah.
And so this one's no, we want all the emotions for humans in this one.
Yeah.
We're doing nothing
only
but
emotion.
just
But
emotion.
I kind of found the scenes with all the little kids. I was like, ugh, I hate all these kids.
Those boys were
they're
such a
just-
bad influence.
was
Oh my
great.
Yeah.
It's such a good like reality though. That felt like
I know,
every-
but I'm like,
For
ugh,
sure what
I was
kids
like,
I
got
don't
away
like
with.
any of
I'm like
this.
I had friends who did that. Like
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, I had that friend. Yep, I remember
Oh
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I didn't like it. You
No,
know, it was just
No,
like,
I hated that. The feeling you felt when you watched that was like, because it's too real.
So
It's so
cringy,
real.
yeah.
yeah.
Like
That's
how far
sad.
you can go with peer pressure and
Yep.
no
reason.
supervision.
Yeah, and RL's so sweet, and he like was like kind of trying to shock him, or I couldn't tell if he knew it wouldn't shock him.
Oh gosh.
Because then
yeah.
later he shoots him in the finger with the pellet gun or the BB
Oh,
gun,
yeah, that
and you're
was-
like, Jack, you're kind of just a jerk, man.
I don't trust you at all
I
anymore.
got real mad at him.
And
But then I think he had to kind of go off the rails to show that even though his dad was kind of a jerk, it was good that he was present and strict, because Jack kind of lost it when he went on that extended vacation, or not vacation, work trip.
Well,
And so
and
it
that
kind
kid
of also
dying.
brings you back into there's got to be balance, and there's,
yeah, there was interesting stuff which I watching some other analysis of it, like the idea that, oh, what's the point of being good if just anyone can die, or life's unfair anyway,
yeah.
or the dad does this stuff, right? So he just went full rogue on life, and then we see the dad kind of figure it out,
at the end.
and then we never really see Jack figure it out. I don't know. There's just so many like loose ends narratively that they set us up to expect and then didn't pay off. It wasn't like,
and they're probably
no, the movie's not about that.
Somewhere they exist, but not here.
Yeah.
And this probably which makes Terrence Malick a snobby director is that he doesn't ever answer the questions. He just keeps asking them.
Sure.
And that's what a lot of people will say, like he's just trying to ask. And I went down the dark hole, like why does Terrence Malick even make movies, like that sort of thing.
What's wrong with this
Well,
guy?
and because he
What are
wanted
you
to be a
thinking?
philosopher originally, and every movie he does is really trying to answer the question, what does it mean to be the state of being? What does that even mean? And so, and Terrence Malick is unapologetically has a Judeo-Christian worldview of there is God, and he does interact with you, and there's light, and so there's this almost sometimes overtly Christian and sometimes not, because
I feel like this movie's pretty overtly
for
Yeah.
sure
religious,
except
if
for
not Christian.
Yeah, oh no, for sure. This was like even the Hallelujah chorus. Not that I heard that last
Well,
song.
and they're praying. All the narration is prayer.
oh for sure,
basically.
for sure. And so
Starting with the scripture,
oh yeah,
Job and
you gotta. So this was like not subtly like Christian at all, but it also I appreciate like this is still saying like Big Bang life starts from like he's still being this
Yeah,
like
it's also nature versus grace in all those different ways too.
oh, it's the best like
well, and evolution is implied in
Yeah.
I think the story of
It's
the beginning.
it's-
But yeah,
one of my favorite things because in the Christian world there's often like you have to believe all this or that, and it's like no, I don't understand how you think if you believe science that you don't think that there's God there. Like I don't see. And so Terrence Malick has this it's a very
Well, also that if you believe in this very short and condensed version of evolution, that you're basically dismissing science too.
right.
Like, no, it can all be there, and people need to
It's the very
accept that there's more.
it's a very it's a smart way to acknowledge both things.
Coexist.
Him saying what he believes, it's a very not subtle way to do it, if that makes sense. Because it's not subtle. Obviously, grace versus nature. Obviously, he's using Bible verses and Bible songs. But he's also saying, like, Yeah, we all came from the same thing, and this is all this. What is life? What does it even mean to be life? And it doesn't mean there's not more to it, and there doesn't mean there is or isn't God. It's just this. There is this question that doesn't need answering, and I think that unfortunately also goes for the plot.
Well, and it also breaks it down to like the simpler like 1950s household where everybody appears to be great and they're sitting at the table praying and everything seems lovely from the exterior, but there's still a very dark reality sometimes.
Do you remember that scene? It wasn't his family, but it was another family.
Yes.
And they were like
the
fighting.
girl he had a crush on.
And I thought that was so like that. It was one of those scenes that you're like, oh, this makes it feel like it's not just my family. This is kind of going on everywhere.
Yeah.
And that was a very like reality shaping. I was like, oh, this is.
It's like the dark undertone of Mad Men.
Oh, exactly right.
You're like, wait a second.
Yeah.
There's a lot of interesting kind of backdrop stuff. There's a shot, I think, when Jack's a baby, or maybe, RL had been born. But Jessica Chastain's holding a baby, and she's like walking toward her house, and there's two people like fighting, wrestling on the ground, right behind her, and it's like, who are these guys? What's happening?
What's going on?
And it's like, we're not going to worry about this.
Arrested or something, and you're like, what?
Well, that's like way later when they're older, and she gives one of the guys like water or coffee or something.
No, before that, like the wrestling on the ground, I think someone was getting arrested, and she just kept covering
there's a different bit.
Face.
Oh,
like, don't look, don't look. I felt like there was somebody getting arrested at that point.
Maybe. Because they do that later, too.
There was definitely a
where they're
scuffle.
getting put into the cop cars.
Yeah.
But it was like, what is this?
Yeah.
Because they're very blocked off, in the shot. And I was like, who are those guys?
Yeah.
Yes.
It just...
And I wanted
just
to like
weird
how many
periphery
times
of violence and human nature.
Yeah, how many times can I
I don't know.
rewind this and try and figure out the secrets of this story? But you know that with Terrence Malick, there is no answer.
No,
You're not gonna get it.
No, you're not.
I did make the mistake. I think when the dinosaurs showed up, I was like, wait, what? And I like went back a sec and I was like, are we dinosaur times? Like what part of the movie am I in?
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
Actually, I wanted to, speaking of the VFX, we talked a little bit about like the traditional like spacey bits.
Yeah.
Pretty nice compositing into real world plates, like beautiful, locations, rivers and stuff. And then the dinosaurs in there. And they're pretty careful to like not show the dinosaurs interacting with stuff very much.
Yes, because that would be
and that's where they held up better.
Yep.
When they're actually like walking on the rocks and
That was
stuff,
rough.
you're like,
Yeah,
those
you see
rocks
him
aren't moving.
run away in the water was a little rough.
You're like,
That was
the
ooh.
water's not moving, you guys.
But I was pretty impressed. And then the
Until
shot
that
of
moment, I was like, this is really good.
yeah, and then the shot of the asteroid hitting Earth and like killing the dinosaurs, supposedly was also like pretty epic.
Yeah. No, it's
Like this giant spiraling shockwave, and you're like, whoa, like.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm into this.
I don't know how he gets this.
Terrence Malick should have directed Walking with Dinosaurs,
Yeah.
Well, and that's the part that's crazy about him. He'll have these like, let's just shoot and see what happens sort of scenarios. But actually, I'm going to have this comment again. The reason why the original Star Wars were good, the reason why 2001 director
Stanley
Kubrick is good. The reason why Martin Scorsese is good is when they have restrictions put on them. When they are left to their own devices, they go too long. They have too long of films. They get too weird.
3 hours of tangents.
But thankfully, I think it was Jessica Chastain and Brad Pitt was on a very tight schedule. So they had to shoot in a certain amount of time. And I think that's what makes this movie better than the next 4 movies he makes. Because he didn't have those restrictions. And because everyone's kind of like clamoring to work with him. But this one he did. And so I think restrictions make movies so much better. When these artsy guys...
Well, yeah, I mean, it's, textbook ADHD people. You work when you've procrastinated and you're on a time crunch. Like, that's when your best stuff comes out. If you have, like, this open-ended thing, it could go really weird.
Which they
really
often do.
sideways.
Ironically
Yeah,
enough,
creative boundaries are actually really helpful.
really
Yeah.
helpful. Except for In the Mood for Love.
For creative people, this is necessary.
In the Mood for Love is one of those rare instances where like Wong Kar-wai just did his weird
Yeah.
old thing and it ended up really good.
Oh,
that
yeah.
was lucky, but
Well, that was a unicorn.
yeah, that's like the unicorn. But
Yeah. I
for
think
all
if
these other ones,
we
yeah.
Let's
could
not
edit
speak of
all
it
of our
again.
references to In the Mood for Love, and it might flesh out an actual
And the actual
podcast version.
podcast. It's so funny.
We should watch that movie.
We should. I've never
Yeah,
seen it before.
maybe.
Ugh. Wong Kar-wai.
Did you guys recognize Little Stevie? It's one of those fun things about watching
Yes.
older
Only when
movies, and you're
Actually, I
like,
looked it up.
Only
had to
when I
look
looked at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, oh, he was in some stuff.
Yeah.
yeah, it's like Ty Sheridan. Hey,
Yeah, I know.
He's had a good run of
Yeah.
pretty solid movies, really.
Meanwhile, the main actor, kid actor, did not do anything after that.
Yeah.
Neither of the other
When there's no
kids.
link to their name,
No.
that's
rough.
kind of like, oh.
It's too bad because he seems so good in this. Like, it's like,
Yeah,
it's always
Yeah,
interesting.
I think they all did a good job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he kind of had brooding kid, which isn't fun. And it's funny, the thing Ty Sheridan was sort of just like nothing kid, just be around kid.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is,
Like he kind of didn't do anything, and he's the one who turned into.
that's the
Yeah.
perfect
The actual
role for
actor.
The
those.
third kid,
Hey.
Yeah.
That's what's his name in, they might be giants. That's a band.
There
That's
will be
a
blood.
band. The football movie with Denzel Washington. Ryan Gosling's the wide receiver.
The Titans.
The Titans, remember the
Yeah.
Titans?
Yeah.
They always have those weird, funny roles.
Can you guys explain when we get to heaven, vision of heaven at the end?
Okay.
When Jessica Chastain's caressing light,
Yeah, sure. Forever.
There's-
Forever. That felt like she was doing it forever.
yeah.
That's what she liked
There's
best.
two
So that's what she
women.
should get to do.
with her, or one I thought was her as a girl,
Yeah,
which
her-
is who we meet at the
Her
very
as a girl.
beginning.
Yep, check.
And then there's the other woman
The
who's
ones
like,
that
I'm like,
she
I
says-
don't
Mom?
know who you are.
The ones that she says, I'm giving him to you, or
Yeah,
take care of him.
Is it his
just-
mom?
but I didn't think that was his wife at the beginning, or whoever the woman he woke up with was. It was just sort of like
No, it wasn't.
some other woman.
I just
feel like I'd never seen
I
before.
had like the angel vibe that I like. These are
Yeah.
just people that are gonna take him.
I assumed it was her as young and her older. That's what I assumed. I assumed it was Jessica Chastain.
But
kid.
it wasn't an old woman. It was a woman like her same age.
Oh, interesting.
And I was like, who are you? Probably cut from other scenes.
Yeah, I'm sure there's an explanation
Her,
somewhere.
her and Adrian Brody are
'Cause-
like brooding in the
Could
corner.
we get our hands on the screen?
Apparently, Jack has a daughter. There's affairs he had.
Mm-hmm.
He struggled with work at some point or college. There's all this stuff about Jack in the
Yeah.
script
There's a
and or
whole
cut
nother
movie.
Jack movie.
So maybe that's the daughter? Maybe that's Jack's daughter?
That makes
Yeah.
sense.
That we only ever see in one spot. Anyway, it's what a wild movie. It's a
What
doozy
Yes.
of a
Yeah.
movie. Should we pivot to some observations or fun facts?
Yes,
Yeah.
please.
Should we talk about who was maybe supposed to be in this movie?
Yeah, you should talk
please
about that.
do. I didn't look this up, so enlighten me.
So, before Brad Pitt, Heath Ledger was slated to be
Yes,
this.
I did see that actually. Oh, that's crazy.
That would have been
That'd been
crazy.
great too. That'd been great.
And apparently, and I don't know where or who, but Mel Gibson was supposed to have a part in this also.
Interesting.
I don't
Yeah.
know who he would have been, but
Well, and Colin Farrell, because
yeah,
they'd worked
Colin
together
was approached.
on the New World.
That makes sense.
And so I assume he'd just be O'Brien.
Of course.
Zach, I could see that one. And Heath Ledger, yeah, Mel Gibson. I don't know who would be the
I
priest.
don't know. All it said was like one line. He was supposed to have a part in this.
But
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
hard though, because it's like, well, then maybe it'd have been a whole different movie.
Could have been somebody's dad. Could
Yeah.
have been.
the police officer who had a big role in the original movie. Who knows?
Sure.
Who knows?
Did you guys notice how horrifying that rabbit mask was? those old school, looks like paper mache rabbit, like
Yes.
Halloween
yes.
masks.
To me, it just reminds me of the 80s, but you can say horrifying, sure.
Oh yeah, it's just like, it's just awkward enough and
Yes.
homemade enough. You're like, that's a disturbing rabbit.
Isn't there a video out there? That's not the Easter Bunny. That's not the Easter Bunny. This kid's screaming, running away.
Exactly.
Even Donnie Darko's like, oh no, that's kind of creepy, guys.
Yeah, this Harvey is really creeping me out.
Harvey.
Yeah. This is one I don't know if it's true, but it's pretty fun if it is. So an Italian movie theater showed this film for a week,
Yes.
where they switched the first two reels and nobody noticed, or because they're like, yeah, Terrence Malick's pretty crazy. It's like telling in kind of a horrible way. I think you would. I feel like I would.
I don't know.
I don't know. If it's presented to you like that, you're like, I guess this is what it is.
I guess it's Terrence Malick, whatever.
Yeah.
Also,
and you're like, wow.
Related to that too.
Yeah.
Was the Spanish theater that was offering a free ticket to anybody that walked out within the first hour, I think.
Yes. And there was
first half hour.
First half hour.
And gave them a free ticket to something else because so many people walked out and were like, "What am I watching?"
And then there were some other ones that were like, "This is not what you think it." They actually had like a
they
disclaimer.
advertise out
we will not give refunds. This is not what you think.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is wild.
I could totally see like date movie, first date, going out with it. Like,
yeah.
Man, that'd be rough.
This was a mistake.
Yeah.
So, do you believe in God? What do you think it's all about?
Yeah.
Yeah. What are you talking about after?
Where do you go from there?
Should we just make out now?
Yeah, I don't know.
We're not watching this, right?
I wouldn't kill that dinosaur either.
Yeah. Let's get into the discussion.
The dinosaur's so sad. Okay, well then what was your first movie with your spouse? If not Tree of Life, what did you watch with Megan? What did you watch with Eric first? You guys remember?
No.
It's a fun fact for our audience.
Do you
I have mine.
What's the name of the sci-fi movie with James Spader?
The Stargate?
Yes. I think that's the first one we watched.
You couldn't remember Stargate?
No,
That's funny.
It was Top Gun. But then it was Stargate after that.
Top Gun was
You watched
how'd you
what?
watch Top Gun?
It was at his house.
Oh.
Or Stargate. Oh.
Well, Stargate,
it's on TV.
I can't remember what we watched in the theater first together. Probably
whatever dumb movie
Marley
came out
and
then.
me when we all went and bawled our eyes out.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know.
I did,
in the theater.
Kim and I went and saw Bicentennial Man
Oh, funny.
with Robin Williams.
Yeah.
That has some moments.
It does. It's also like a little more existential than
Yeah.
you kind of expect it to be, but it was fun.
I cannot remember what
I
movie
wonder.
was
I
that.
bet Eric knows, but I don't think I remember.
I don't think Megan would remember. Whew, that's
The
a good
Tree
one,
of
Pat.
Life, that would be a bold choice. Especially if you knew what it was going in,
Yeah.
you're like,
Well-
let's go see Tree of Life.
Yeah, you'd
this
have
is
to
a
be
litmus
like-
test
Yeah.
for whether or not we should keep dating.
For
Yeah.
sure.
I don't know which way. I want you to hate this or I want you to like it.
It's
Either
true.
way.
I did go. That was the same year I met Megan, though, the 2011. So that was at Hong Kong, and then I came home and I met Megan in Oregon. So there we go. So it's same year. Yeah, that's a good question. I'll have to look that up. To be continued, guys. I'll get that answer to you later.
Okay.
Megan and I will have a little head-to-head.
Yeah, I'll be a follow-up.
I don't really have any other fun facts. I think we kind of touched on.
It's hard because Terrence
Oh, I
Malick
guess-
doesn't give interviews. So that's a
Yeah.
fun, weird fact. So you can't get any interviews from him.
I do.
I think the one you touched on it, Seth. Though the butterfly thing was just there was a butterfly,
happened.
and so
Yeah.
you had
It's
Jessica
crazy.
Chastain chase it down the street, and it landed on her, which is pretty crazy.
And it's perfectly framed.
Yeah, what luck.
That's the crazy part about that shot.
Yeah, it's pretty nutty.
I think the thing that I fun facted that just felt the most like a Terrence Malick type of thing that he would do was that he had like a letter of instruction to every projectionist.
Yep.
Like there was like a list of the like project the
what we
film in 1:8:5 1 aspect ratio, set the fader on Dolby and like da 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 da.
He has
like,
it all set up.
everything like
That's
this.
Very
so
Nolan-esque.
How you do
really.
this?
Yeah.
And that's
Or
what
I guess
we're doing.
maybe Nolan's Malick-esque. I
Yeah,
don't know.
maybe.
Yeah.
But the idea that like that's gonna be the difference maker for people like
Yeah.
experiencing the movie is
Oh,
like,
for sure. It's so.
are your
it's
blacks
so
tuned
snobby.
perfectly?
Oh, it's so snobby.
And
It's
like,
like,
no
Terrence, I don't-
opening credit thing. He has this whole like how you
Oh, yeah.
start it thing, kind of
Wow.
so weird.
I mean, it would be fun to go to. I mean, now it would be fun to go to because at first, if you're just watching it when you're younger, you're like, oh, whatever. So I'm kind of glad I saw this when I was, I was like mid to late 20s, I think. And
You were a man.
I was a man. Well, I was more open for something like this instead of be like, nope, I'm out.
I think this would have been good to watch when I was in college. I think
Yeah.
I think going
On
in
some
knowing
drugs.
it's really artsy.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. would probably be a little helpful. I think it's so shockingly non-linear that you're like, whoa, I don't know if my brain was like ready for this movie.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And so I think, if I watched this as part of a film class or something, I'd probably be so into like, oh, let me analyze every little meaning thing.
Yeah.
It's not a good movie to, I think, just watch to be a movie, right? It's not a pass the time. This is enjoyable.
For sure.
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, it's gorgeous. Again,
Yeah.
one thing to take away, it's
I-
gorgeous.
I
Watch
watched
it just for
with my
visuals.
sister-in-law, and she's like, "It's the thing that it has though is that emotion that keeps you in."
Yeah.
And what and this is my big harp
More
on
dinosaurs.
2001.
I mean, more dinosaurs.
I know when you get
And
sad,
the expectation that they're
sad
going to
dinosaurs.
explain some of this.
and you're angry at Brad Pitt. You're angry at the kids. You love Jessica Chastain. You want her to fight back. Like you just you are empathizing with people when I don't remember anyone except for the robot in 2001.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's like the
and
thing.
the old
Like,
guy dying at the end.
oh, yeah, crazy. So it's. I just feel it would be great to have two movies, like the Terrence Malick version, and then like
The popular
Robert
commercial version.
Zemeckis making a movie of it or
Yeah.
something. I don't know.
The running time of the extended cut is 3 hours and 8 minutes.
I haven't seen that. That's super snobby.
Yeah.
That would be next level.
It's too long.
Well,
I
unless-
would skip to find out if there's any
Yes.
answers in it.
I would
Like
see
not
it-
like no more scenery, thank you.
Well, I think it's
Can
more
we-
Jack stuff
Yeah,
for sure.
which
Yeah.
would be great. I think Sean Penn would probably appreciate people watching the longer version with him in it.
Yeah, you.
But at the same time, like this is, what he chose was the priority
Yeah.
of the story he wanted to tell. So I think it's kind of this interesting thing with director's cuts or whatever. It's like,
Yeah.
assuming they had control, right? This was not edited by the production company, right?
No,
this
studio
version is
touched this.
Malick's
was
version, yeah.
Malick's fingerprints all over it.
Yeah.
So to have the extended cut,
Yes.
you kind of go, okay, this gets into like, we need some limitations.
Yeah.
Like, get this close to 2 hours.
Yeah.
It
And he
would
was like,
be-
yeah, okay, then I don't need all this other stuff. That doesn't even matter.
It would be this with Terrence Malick. You'd want to have like the original movie, and you'd want the producer's cut.
yeah.
Yeah.
What did the studio want to
Studio
have
cut.
out there?
That would be so funny. And it's just like,
Well,
that would
might
be
get
amazing.
some of these guys
If the guy
Oscar
that-
noms.
If the guy
Right?
that made the
You know, the
trailer
real version.
made the whole movie,
Because
be
Yeah.
no one didn't get nominated. It won,
three
Can.
nominations, didn't win anything.
and it won the Palme d'Or at Cannes.
Yeah.
Like that was all like.
Yeah.
So the one question we don't have to answer is this snobby? That's the one question
Ooh.
we do not have to answer.
sure.
Because despite having Brad Pitt and Sean Penn, it is still. It's the snobbiest
I
movie
think
Brad
you
Pitt's
can-
been in.
And I agree that this is probably the best acting Brad Pitt's done for me.
Ooh.
I do think that is
Pat, what you got? What movie?
because it's such a departure from all this. And he did Moneyball the same year. That's so crazy.
Oh, that is funny.
Oh, Moneyball.
The most rewatchable movie of all time and the least rewatchable.
So good.
Pat, that's
great. I think he is better.
You're seeing 12 Monkeys, aren't you?
That is good.
Fight Club? Oceans.
Yeah, Fight Club. No,
Oceans, that would have been so funny.
I did rewatch Interview with the Vampire the other day,
Not
too.
good, is it?
I do like Oceans. He's so
terrible
compelling in
in 7 Years in Tibet. Terrible.
No.
Just boring.
No,
Yeah.
Fight Club. Fight Club for
Fight
sure.
Club's a gem.
Or even Snatch.
I'll give you Fight
I say
Club.
neck and neck Fight Club in
Yeah,
this.
because Fight Club was super fun.
Huh? Seven. That's very good. Maybe I
What's
put.
in the
I
box?
might
What's
put
in the
7.
box?
I might bump 7 above that. These
Ooh,
two.
really?
But
He acts and stuff. He's
it's
good
one of
and
his best.
stuff.
This is one of his best, and I think it's the biggest departure for him in
Yeah.
a role.
And his jaw thing's a little annoying. Dude.
Yeah.
Sticking out his jaw the
Him
whole
doing
time.
this?
I liked him in Inglorious Bastards.
Oh,
That's
are you
his
kidding
kind of
me?
serious acting thing, as he always puts his lower jaw out.
Yeah. He's so funny in Glorious Bastards.
His
That was
Marlon
so funny.
Brando impression.
Probably.
I used to be very pretty, now I'm just trying to be serious.
Stella.
But it's definitely one of his best. I think that's easy to say.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Okay, guys, final takes. What is your takeaway from the Tree of Life? I'm so glad you guys had no idea what you're walking into. Like, that makes me
Yeah.
so happy.
I'm glad I did it,
Wild.
but I don't know unless somebody offers me more information for the extended version,
Oh,
and
I
I
might
would
do
maybe
it.
skip through it. I don't know if I would watch it a lot again.
I'd watch this again, obviously. But
I just need more info. I want to read the screenplay.
I think it's, and the nice thing is it's not so long as far as Terrence Malick films go. And
No.
he doesn't stay on scenes as long as he does in other stuff. Like, the cuts are actually kind of not horrible cuts. They don't just, like, imagine you're walking around a cylinder and you do it for 20 minutes. Like, just imagine if a movie did that.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so
I mean, if
compelling,
we're-
though,
if
because
we're
you're like, how is he
comparing-
doing this?
If we're comparing 2001's opening to this
he
opening,
in
I would take
space?
this
I
over.
can't tell. We've been
every
20 minutes of him walking in a circle.
Yeah.
And you're still
if we're in
convinced by
space.
the effect.
I'd rather have the dinosaur spare the dinosaur than have the monkey beat someone to death with his bone.
I think I agree with. Yeah, 2001 is not a perfect movie, but
I love how this is just turned into like
I
the
would take
beginning
Tree
of
of
both
Life
of these,
versus
you're like,
2001.
what? Come on.
if I could smash together the nature-y bits of this movie with the actual story of 2001.
Ooh, now
I'm
we're talking.
I'm in.
Ah, how bad.
And then play the Fantasia soundtrack.
Get rid of the emotions and
Oh
pass in.
yeah.
Dude,
Yeah.
I thought the
Well,
soundtrack
the dinosaur
was great.
is emotional.
No,
Emotional.
it's good. It's
I thought
good.
the soundtrack was amazing.
But I mean, if
yeah,
you're
I
gonna
think my
get real
takeaway.
artsy, let's play some Fantasia.
Okay, Pat, what's your takeaway? You didn't talk as much trash as I thought you'd talk, to be honest. I thought you
Well-
were going to lay it down a little bit more.
He's tired.
Yeah.
I mean, it was rough transitioning into what this movie was. I will not lie. I think I kept looking at my watch and like, we're still in just nature.
Yeah.
And it's gorgeous. It reminded me. So we went and did the Sphere in Las Vegas.
Cool. Yep.
And did the Darren Aronofsky letters from Earth. I forget what it is. It's very similar in that there's hardly a narrative, and it's just gorgeous shots of the Earth,
Nice.
and you're wrapped in it. And I thought that's what this movie is.
It
It's
needs
just
to be
longer.
in IMAX.
There we go. Oh, that would have been
Yeah.
good IMAX.
Yeah, like I need to just be enveloped in, basically
Yeah.
360 degrees about this thing.
Sure.
And
Brad
it,
Pitt's-
Planetarium
But
Brad
like-
Pitt's
viewing.
chin.
I mean, it's all gorgeous. I think you could analyze framing and, visuals and lighting, all these beautiful things. I just wish
But
it had a little stronger narrative direction to it.
that's fair.
Because I found myself being like, okay, we're going to stare at the surface of the sun for a little bit. And like, yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
But like,
Yeah, parts
What's
of it
up
you're
with
like,
Jack?
am I watching that National Geographic page where it's like, what is this? But it's just a real big close up of like a beehive.
yeah,
And you're like,
it's
what
like the
is
Windows
that?
background that
Yeah,
just
yeah.
switches to interesting images. And you're like, look at this one. And you're like, okay, but like,
But I thought we were watching a story happen.
I don't go to my desktop for narrative. So
But you do go to be entertained.
But sometimes I
Yeah.
do zone out and see like
So I
the
was
red
just-
desert. Like, oh yeah, that's cool.
I think what's interesting is there's no way to spoil this movie, right?
Yeah, there's no spoiler.
You could listen to this whole thing and you have no idea. You still can watch it and be like, oh, wow.
Tell me your favorite feeling. Oh, you'll
You're
feel
not-
that.
Feel it.
You're not
You're
going to
gonna feel
quote.
it. I can't tell
You're
you
not going
what
to quote
part.
this movie a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
What's your quotable
different than the
quotable?
last couple.
What's your
Yeah.
quotable from Tree of Life?
It's like
Dad,
whispers.
I'm more like you than he is.
Yeah.
Dad, I'm more like you than he is.
You want to kill me?
Yeah. Oh gosh.
Like,
That was,
okay.
Okay. Oh, the whispers and
But,
Terrence Malick films.
it's well made. Well made.
It sounds not quite genuine when you say it
Yeah.
like that. Okay, Mariah.
I think it's
I think it's one of those,
exactly
I just have to grant it that.
I
Okay.
think this
Granted
is
that.
exactly what Terrence Malick wanted you to see and wanted you to feel. Like, I feel like he accomplished his mission, but there are some parts that I would like more information
Yes.
on. And parts in the beginning that I
Like-
would like to shorten, maybe.
Right. So more
'Cause the
like
second-
Earth creation stuff,
Yeah.
less of
The second half of
less
the movie
Sean
was
Penn.
so
Got
much
it.
easier to get through for me.
less Sean Penn. Got it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want Sean Penn to walk by and that be it.
Like,
And
loved the classical music, I didn't even mind them jumping back and forth into some nature scenes. It was just the beginning was hard. I would watch that National Geographic show probably, like while I was doing something else. But I want to see the whole movie.
While I was doing something else.
Yeah, like that'd be a great.
Yeah, we heard that
background.
part.
Yeah, screensaver
Yeah, I
all
think-
day long.
Yeah.
I think it would have been better if Adult Jack was cut entirely out of this version.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that's a
Don't
good
make
thought.
me
That's a good
even
hot take.
care about what he's like as an adult.
What
It's
about
Sean
the
It's
Penn,
just
though.
this
Why do you
slice
cut
of
him?
life.
What about the desert beach heaven part? Like, who's gonna guide people back together? You'd
Brad
have to
Pitt.
cut that.
It kind of became Brad Pitt's journey.
Yeah.
With what we got, he was the one who went on this journey of
It's-
realizing he'd
For-
neglected.
and he
the
changed.
world around him.
He changed and
he changed.
And the main character didn't.
It
So
yeah,
No,
it also
we didn't get to
shows
see
that
that.
people change and they don't. So this
yeah,
is wrong.
some people change, some people
The
don't.
movie's wrong.
The other thing, which I guess is a diss, is it felt like, you can kind of see it on the cover. These are such like stereotypical things you'd want to capture at like a wedding.
Stock
Things
photos.
like hold or birth shots, like hold the baby's feet in your hands.
Yeah,
It's
hold
like
the
it's
baby's
not
feet,
stuff
yeah.
that
Can
like
you
real
put those
people
on your
do.
website and see if anybody notices?
The dawn of creation, that would be another one. You got to capture that moment for every wedding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Seth, aren't these
light
just
constantly going
Tree
in
of
and
Life
out,
covers?
I wish.
pointing at nothing with your kid.
Yeah.
It's just like there's definitely a lot
Running
of forced
around.
visuals
No, if I shot
where you're
gonna
like,
be on my
what if you
Christmas
run
card.
at me? Just run at
I
us.
literally did that the last shoot. Like that. I was me. We. That's funny.
It's the
If
most
you get it
awkward
on
thing to
my
be asked
Christmas
to
card,
do.
You'll know why now.
Yeah.
And it looks good. It does look good. The results are like, hey, that was good. I felt so dumb running at you hand in hand with my kid, but it looked good. Pretend you like each other.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's kind of what this movie is,
That's pretty funny.
Giggle.
Yeah.
except for not liking. But the
So,
forced, beautiful visuals.
Would you recommend this to a friend, guys? Is that what you're saying? Are you saying you wouldn't recommend it to a
Very
friend?
few friends, to be honest. I was telling somebody about it today, and I was like, the visuals are amazing, but it's so not a movie in any
not a finished-
normal
It's an
way.
experimental
Yeah,
project.
it is truly like an art film. And I struggled. I was like, this is pretentious. And then I kind of backed away from that. And I was like, oh, okay, it's not really pretentious. It's just what he wanted to say. And it's real artsy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mostly the feeling I get walking away from it is beautiful but incomplete.
Compared to Mirror, which one? I still think Mirror is snobbier than this, just because it's Soviet Union and and doesn't have Brad Pitt in it.
I feel like I got more information from Mirror
Yeah, that's not wrong but it felt the same though because you didn't
and more
quite.
closure.
Really?
And there's not a lot in Mirror.
There's not a lot of Mirror. It's rough. I don't even know. I forget.
Mirror's way dreamy. This feels more like a memory. Mirror was more a dream.
I don't know. There's some rough
I feel like
spots
it was
in
more
Mirror.
of a complete dream, though.
I guess
there
so.
was a beginning and an end.
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess the question I have to answer: does this stay on my top 10? Is the real
Yeah.
question. There has yet to be a movie like it that would replace it, except for Mirror. Mirror would be close, but I don't connect with Mirror as much because, to me, if I could shoot like this, I'd be fine with that. I don't care how bad my narratives are. I'm fine with that. So it's one of those things. It's like, this is an inspiring movie if you shoot video, because it helps you get away from the regular form of narrative.
No, I can definitely see that.
And
As a
it's kind of
cinematography
inspiring
person.
Yeah. So I think it's an inspiring movie. Because I thought movies like 8.5 and some of these other ones would be inspiring. I mean, they are, but they're all just kind of kooky
Come on, 8
film.
and a half is amazing.
It is, but it's not amazing in the way makes sense.
You wouldn't
to
mimic
me.
it for anything. You're
No,
doing.
I'm not
Well,
doing
no,
a balloon.
nobody'd ask you to.
Yeah.
Like, could you make it look like 8.5?
Yeah. Well, the Wes Anderson
I'd like to
wedding
go to
has
that
been
person's
very
wedding.
real. Yeah, I would love to go to that person's wedding.
Can we be at the reception and I crawl under the table
And all your ex-girlfriends come around and sing to you
and
tell you
and bathe you?
and bathe you. That would be what I like to see. That's what I'm talking about.
This is a wedding, right?
This is
Well, this is the rehearsal dinner.
it's something. It's is that the Bridesmaids are for? I never knew that. That's so weird.
If you're lucky.
Guys, we did it. We looked at a snobby movie.
We did.
And I feel like we're snobbier
And
for
you
it.
didn't kick it off your list.
I didn't kick it off my list
I
yet.
definitely the snobometer
Yeah.
has gone up.
Yeah.
I feel
With this one,
I'm,
for sure.
I'm stoked that I got to introduce this movie to you guys and made you watch it because
I'm glad I did.
I thought you guys kind of had an inkling of what you were in for. So
No.
you guys not knowing, it's kind of like a fun got you sucker
Yeah.
sort of
Yeah,
moment.
shockingly didn't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's so great because this is like the American snobby director. You think Scorsese's snobby? Let's try some Terrence Malick here, folks. Let's get.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and the irony is like I always joke about Wes Anderson being snobby light, the pumpkin spice latte of snobbiness, which I still kind of adhere to. But it is the
Yeah, still
intro, and then you watch that, and then you go to Terrence Malick. You're like, oh geez, okay, I guess.
This is the mushroom
I guess
coffee
I
one?
just feel and I don't have to worry about anything else. Just feelings and pretty things. That's all I have to worry about. And that's what I'm gonna leave with you guys. Just go feel some feelings and look at pretty things. The way
Not a bad way to
Pat
live your life.
likes it. The way Pat likes
Kind
it.
of like our podcast.
Just I like that.
Feeling the feelings,
Oh.
looking at pretty things.
The Tree of Life was watched by Patrick, Mariah, and Seth on How to Be a Movie Snob.
Like and subscribe.
See you next time. Bye, guys.
Goodbye.
Little waterfall.